Hey, hello and welcome to WPAT 9:30 a.m. on your radio dial in New York City. We are live, and we are also live if anywhere in the world at WPAT930am.com. So anywhere, call your friends and tell them to join you. We got a great show today. Some great people are going to be on. Interesting, very topical topics. And we also got video. Can you believe it? You can go to YouTube at the Underdog Report. The Underdog Report, that's myself. I do these videos. I also write for Joe Hoff, formerly of the Gateway Pundit. So a lot of fun things. But I have a very interesting guest today. My first guest, we do quick fire interviews, as you know here, and they go on very, very quickly. And we have Peter Shinn, who he is a retired colonel in the Air Force, so due respect for that. Thank you for your service. Extensive background as a trainer, journalist, educator. He served in NORAD, and he's involved with many things. But today he's talking about Jeffrey Epstein. My goodness, so we're going to talk about that. So without any more background, I'm going to let him talk for himself. Please welcome Peter Shinn, Colonel, retired Peter Shinn.
Hey, thank you so much, Gary. It's such a great pleasure to be with you here on the air in the Big Apple. And I'll tell you that, yes, I'm a retired lieutenant colonel with the United States Air Force. And after I retired, I became connected with Nick Bryant, who's the author of The Franklin Scandal. And I got involved with Nick Bryant because my son brought the Franklin scandal to my attention. He lives in Omaha. I used to live in Omaha. And he said, "Did you know that this ever went on in Omaha?" I said, "Never did." I read it. I was absolutely stunned, horrified by this book, which detailed a child sex trafficking ring that ran out of Omaha in the late 80s and early 90s. I called up Nick Bryant, reached out to him and said, "Hey, listen, I can't believe that this went on in Omaha. And, is there anything I can do to help you out?" And he said, "Well, let me tell you something. If you thought that was bad, you should hear about the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein." And up to that point, I had not been aware of the case. And once I found out what he was doing to try and get his crimes answered for, get some accountability and get justice for the victims, I was all over that because I was in the Air Force for 36 years, and I have it in my DNA to try and help people.
That's great. Now, there's such a long and arduous story around Epstein. It's been around, it's been in the news, been hanging out. We've been made promises, AG Pam Bondi, "I've got the list on my desk," and then all of a sudden there is no list, and he killed himself. Can you shed any light? And while you're doing that, I'm going to show you a website.
Yes, I'm going to shed some light on this. And when I say shed some light, what I'm going to say is that right now, this is why this issue has blown up so much. Had the Trump administration never made any promises to disclose information, there would probably not be right now a great demand for information. But the Trump administration, even before they were elected the second time, President Trump and others have said, "Hey, listen, elect us, and we're going to get the real truth out there. We're going to get the information out there." Well, they were duly elected and then said, "Oh, by the way, there's no information to give you." Well, if that's the case, no problem. If there truly is no information, if Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell acted alone, no problem. Just release the information that you have, and it will undoubtedly show that. So I guess what is confusing to everybody in America is why in the world, if there's nothing that you can disclose that's going to be incriminating to people, why not just disclose it then? And that's the bind right now that the administration finds itself in, not because of anything that Nick Bryant and I have done with Epstein Justice. It's because they've made promises that they're not delivering on, and the questions are too great to leave unanswered.
There's a lot going on. It's really confusing. Where do you think this is headed? I mean, I have no idea. What are you working on to get the closure here?
Well, what's happening right now is Congress is taking a real interest in this matter for really essentially the first time. And Epstein Justice has advocated for now years we've advocated for a nonpartisan, uh, a nonpartisan investigative investigative committee by Congress. Congress needs, as the legislative branch, is required to get information from the executive branch in order to, make laws and ensure that the executive branch is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing and not hiding things. And I can tell you that as a former member of the executive branch, my last job in the Air Force was I was a liaison from the Office of the Secretary of the Air Force to Senate appropriators. And Senate appropriators wanted information from the executive branch, and it was my job to obfuscate and hide it as much as possible. For the most part, the executive branch doesn't want to give out information. Congress must demand it. That's what we at Epstein Justice say. Every American should ask their member of Congress, hey, will you support an investigatory commission to look into this and make sure that the executive branch is doing the right thing here?
Now,
And I'll just say,
based upon your background, Pete, I think your end game here is we have to stop all these pedophiles. If we can bring justice to this issue and the people involved, it's going to stop a lot of other rapes and other things that's going on. Don't you believe that?
absolutely. That's one of the reasons why this is so important. We have got to send a message to other pedophiles and predators and child sex traffickers, especially in the billionaire class, that they can't do this and get away with it with impunity, that their wealth, power, and access to legal advice can't make them immune from prosecution.
What can people do? What do you want people to do, Pete?
I would like them to go to epsteinjustice.com
Let
right
me show
now.
that website for you. There it is right
Yes,
here.
Epstein Justice.
EpsteinJustice.com. Go ahead.
And then find out if you don't have enough information on this, find out why it's important. And then reach out to each of your members of Congress, both in the House and in the Senate, and tell them that you want them to force the executive branch to disclose the information that will help the American people determine whether or not Jeffrey Epstein acted alone, acted as a government agent, either of this government or a foreign government, and if indeed he was
Peter, I have
running
to
a
interrupt
blackmail.
real quick. Where can I go to your website? Is there a form they can fill out?
Absolutely. It's right on the front page. If you go to epsteinjustice.com, the front page, you can fill out a form, join the movement, sign a petition, reach out to your members of Congress. You can do it all from our website.
EpsteinJustice.com. I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know these are quick, but fire interviews, but we'll do some more together. We'll stay together, stay in touch, and thank you very much.
My pleasure, Gary. Anytime.
All right, thank you. So, Dr. John Brady we have on. These are quick fire interviews, as you know, and very excited to see you here. Dr. Brady, how are you?
Excited to be here, Gary. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, we're live. Now, you
Appreciate it.
You are a, what is it? A forensic psychologist. I don't even know what that is. What does that mean?
That's right. So, forensic psychology is sort of the connection between psychology and the law. So I look at the criminal defendants in some cases to see whether or not they're competent to stand trial, or whether or not there's a mental issue that might contribute to a not guilty by reason of insanity defense. And then it's been my interest over the years to write about the especially the murder cases that I've diagnosed and treated over the years, and that led to the production of several of my books.
So, in other words, you become a witness at these trials. Is that correct? An expert witness.
Yes, I've been an expert witness probably 50 or 60 times in multi-states, testifying on psychiatric issues concerning what we've said before. At this point, what I'm doing is collecting a lot of these cases, looking in the rearview mirror, and trying to write about these particular cases.
You wrote a book here. I'm going to show it. Psychological
Oh, yeah.
DNA. It's a cold case. Who killed Robert F. Kennedy? Who killed Robert F. Kennedy, Dr. Brady?
Well, that's an interesting book, because that's a case that I worked on when I was a graduate student at UC Berkeley, and my chief advisor was the main psychiatrist for the defense in the Sirhan case. So in that particular situation, Sirhan was charged with first-degree murder. Actually, should have been second-degree murder, so he would have been paroled much earlier than 57 years later. So it's a discussion of his mental elements that led him to create a second personality that most of the doctors agreed that he had a multiple personality that led to the murder of RFK. For all the time he's been in prison, he denies any knowledge of what happened at the Ambassador Hotel on the night of the murder because he's repressed this into a second personality that isn't aware of what his criminal actions were on that night. So that's one interesting book.
But you have another book that's coming out. It's not quite out yet. What is that about? What's the name of that one?
That book is Breakdown, which is a comparison of Sirhan's mental state with the mental state of Lee Harvey Oswald. So I compare side by side their mental statuses of these two 24-year-old alleged assassins of the Kennedy brothers. I lay these two psychiatric histories out, and what I discovered is that there's more similarities in their backgrounds than there are dissimilarities. In other words, they both experienced certain kinds of mental traumas early in life, both at about age 13, that contributed to their psychopathic deviance 11 years later when they were both accused, at age 24, when they were both accused of assassinating the Kennedy brothers.
Now you talk about Epstein and Maxwell also. Have you done an analysis of those people?
Yes, and you stated it, Gary, you stated it correctly, because you can't talk about one really without talking about the other. These two are a hand in a glove, that in order to analyze Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, you really have to look at them together as sort of a symbiotic team who engaged in this international sex trafficking and pedophilia over a number of years. I mean, their relationship goes back 25 years, and it's really intriguing to see how, especially Ghislaine Maxwell, very smart, Oxford-trained, you have to get it, Oxford-trained person, highly intelligent, could be woven into Epstein's deviant fantasies concerning his sexcapades.
Now we're coming to the end here. These are quick fire interviews. Listen, the person we had before you on was Lieutenant Colonel Peter Shinn, and he has a website regarding Epstein and seeking justice.
Wonderful.
You two should get together and you should compare notes here.
Wonderful.
I've got the Senator Torricelli coming on. Any closing statements, Dr. Brady?
No, I appreciate the interview, and then the book Breakdown will be published by Trine Day, Trine Day Publishers, and that'll be available on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and my website, which is just drjohncbrady.com. And Gary, thank you for the time, and I'd love to connect with your previous guest. That would be great.
All right, we'll make that happen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary.
I'd love to talk to you more. Very interesting.
Thanks, Gary. You too.
Thank you. So is Mr. Torricelli on?
I am.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure to see you. You're a little crooked there, but
Am I?
Yes. Maybe I'll hold your phone a different way.
I'm not holding it at all. It's on the table.
No, but it's you're coming out. You're on your side. You're not right side up. There you go. For some reason, yeah, that's it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. We have been trying to work with you with that article, so we need to have some response. when you want
Yeah,
to.
Gary, it's just been time. I've been only home from vacation for a couple of weeks, and I've just been too busy to get to it. My apologies.
No, I have to apologize. What do you want to talk about today? Because there's so many things. You're a fantastic guest. I really enjoy
Well,
having,
thank you.
and I really respect what you say about Iran. Tell me what's new.
Well, you know, we want to talk about the president's trade policy a little bit, and because that's so dominating the news, all the trade negotiations.
Okay.
Want to do that, or is that not of interest to you?
That's a lot of interest to me and
Okay.
our guests and the people on. Go ahead, but just talk a little bit of
Okay.
background on you.
So, you know, I know that the people are concerned about rising prices, and they're seeing the international conflict on the global stage about American trade policy. I couldn't assure anyone, as the president can assure anyone, that it's not going to be a rocky road. I think what people have to remember, however, is something had to happen here. The country could not go on year after year, decade after decade, with these multi-billion dollar trade deficits and this hollowing out of
Absolutely.
the American working class, where we're losing all industrial capability, not only to preserve our standard of living, but also for our national security. There's not an easy way to fix this. There's no seamless way to do it without risk or without difficulty with our allies. I think what just needs to be remembered is the status quo was not maintainable. You know,
Let's be honest, all our partners in other countries were very happy with the arrangements.
it worked out very well for them. And you know, the United States went down this road in the 50s and the Kennedy round in 1960 to liberalize trade, and there was a reason for it. At one point after the war, the United States was 50% of the world GDP. Well, that was not natural or sustainable. Our allies were bled dry by the war. Our principal adversaries, the Italians, the Germans, the Japanese, were bled dry, which would have created enormous economic and political and military instability. Liberalizing trade to allow people to have access to our markets and other wealthy markets, giving everyone an opportunity to compete fairly and equally, made sense. And putting the United States at a disadvantage, we knew what we were doing. We were at a disadvantage. We had more than half the world's trade in iron and steel. We dominated the world in automobile manufacturing and electronics. I understand it. We needed to do it. We couldn't go into another uh, cycle of European conflict, which that poverty and that economic dislocation would have bred. We had to do something, and it was the right thing to do. But
Let me ask
70
you a
years
quick
later,
question here, Senator. Would you say that increasing tariffs will reduce the taxing of American people?
well, let me say an odd thing. I hope not, because I hope the tariff resources go to reduce the debt. So, to
Okay.
the extent that yes, you'd have to raise taxes to reduce the debt, now that would be less we'd have to raise taxes. Yes, you're right. But honestly, the right thing to do here is the country is going to bring in tens of billions of dollars worth of tariffs. I think more than the media is willing to admit. Uh, and we've seen that already. There was actually one month, I think in April, the federal government ran a surplus, incredibly, because of the tariff money. That money should go to reduce the federal deficit, is the right thing to do. But yes, yes, it is going to increase revenue. It is going to take time to reshore some of these industrial companies. I got that. It's not going to happen overnight, but some will happen quickly. The American automobile industry is operating at 60% of capacity. The extent that people move more towards domestic production of automobiles, that employment is going to happen rather quickly. So, but the long and short of it is, even if it takes time, even if there are disruptions, even if it affects costs somewhat, it had to be done.
It's 43 35, something like that, $1 trillion we're in debt. It's just amazing. Any idea of how long it will take to reduce that?
Honestly, Gary, in my experience, when you're that far in debt, there's only one way to get out of it. You have to grow out of it. You can't tax enough on it, because you keep raising. If you raise taxes more, the economy will shrink, not grow. and the debt will get worse. You can cut your way out of some of it, but not a lot. And most of the federal budget is Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and defense. If you add those four items up, it's over 75% of the federal budget. You can't cut your way out. You can't tax your way out of it. When you're this far in debt, the only way to get out of it is the economy has to grow. And it has to grow at more than 2%. It's got to grow at 3 or more percent. And when you have an economy the size of the United States, $30 trillion, and you grow at 3%, you'll be surprised how fast that debt would come down.
That's encouraging. That's very encouraging.
Well, it's encouraging if we get to that growth. Now, the only way to get to that growth, this comes back to our trade conversation, is you need to reshore some of these industries, increase domestic production, increase domestic employment, have wages rise as you're consuming more domestic product, then you can get growth up. Every percent of American consumption that is coming from abroad is a percent off American growth.
Senator Torricelli, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'd love to do an article on this because this is very timely also. I'm always trying to get you to do more work.
All right, okay. You know, I'm actually willing to do that because I'm highly motivated on this subject. I feel the American people are really being deserved on this trade debate in the media. All I read is how it's going to have enormous inflation. It's going to upset our allies. I'm not worried about our allies being upset. I'm about the United States being upset because we're not being treated fairly. And I don't believe the inflation. And so far, you can see it's not true.
So far, no, it's not. We're having my next guest join us. Any last comments before we go, Robert?
Pay attention to the New Jersey gubernatorial race. It's going to be close, it's going to be competitive, and it's going to be interesting.
Who's running? Who are the two people?
Torricelli is the Republican who ran 4 years against Phil Murphy. He's a former legislator. And Mikey Sherrill, who's a member of Congress, Annapolis grad, former Navy flyer. Both terrific candidates. It's going to be very interesting.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Look forward to talking.
Thanks for having me, Gary. Good to be with you. Bye-bye.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hey, Gary. Good to see you. I'm doing well. I hope you are.
Right. My goodness. So quick fire interviews. Here we are. We're going, right? And you always get to stay a little bit later because it was only on the air for 5 minutes. But my goodness, new news for gun owners of America. Any new news regarding the Second Amendment? You know, there's so much. It's surprising how much news is having to do with the Second Amendment. Please share. By the way, this is Mark Jones of Gun Owners of America at gunowners.org.
Well, Gary, since your last guest just mentioned New Jersey, I probably should tell you that last week, the New Jersey General Assembly proposed a law that would exempt them and their chiefs of staff from most of New Jersey's onerous gun control laws. So it would apply to everyone from members of Congress down to local officials, but they would be exempt from the permit requirements, transportation requirements, all the other unconstitutional laws that New Jersey has in place for the common citizen. They would be exempt from it, but the common citizen would not.
I'm not sure if this is good news or not.
Oh, this is terrible news. Think about it. It's a tyrannical move by a legislature. It's rules for thee, not for me. And
that was my first thought.
Yeah, you know, it's just unbelievable, really, that the New Jersey General Assembly would propose this. What they need to do is repeal their gun control laws that are on the books, return rights to everybody, not just to themselves. But it just goes to show you the disdain that some American politicians have for the common citizen. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I came from that area, the New York, New Jersey area, and I know they probably have the votes to pass that.
They very well may pass it. I cannot imagine it can stand up to court scrutiny. Hopefully the American courts, and I know you can't always count on the Supreme Court in this day and age, but hopefully by the time that got to the highest courts, they would strike that down. Because it reminds me of England, where the royal family has certain rights that the rest of people in Great Britain don't have. It's just unbelievable. It's not an American concept in any form or fashion.
I know you've got your your GunOwners.org. You've got the Big Goals conference coming up right this weekend, August 9th
Yes,
at Knoxville, Tennessee.
that is
Start
this Saturday and Sunday. Yes.
this Saturday. Get there. It's very inexpensive. It's less than $30 to get in. A lot of great speakers. The Attorney General from Texas, Liz Wheeler, is going to be there. Some other congressmen and Ken Paxton. So it'll be pretty exciting. So go there, gunowners.org, to find out more information about it.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be our second annual conference. We'll have thousands of Second Amendment advocates there, Gary, and members of Congress, like you said, Attorney General Paxton, Attorney General Bailey from Missouri. You know, those are two gentlemen that have led the fight against the Biden administration when state attorney generals have had to fight federal overreach. So we'll have a lot of freedom lovers there. We'll have a lot of companies that sell firearms or firearms related products, outdoor related products, that kind of thing. There'll be dozens and dozens of those kind of vendors in the exhibit hall. So it'll just be a good time for Second Amendment advocates to get together.
That's great. And you know what? Yesterday I did interview Mark McCluskey along with Stephen Williford. That was a great interview. It's on my YouTube channel at, just go to YouTube at theunderdogreport.com. And we're live. You're live there now. YouTube at the Underdog Report, and all the updates on what's going on with the Second Amendment and your show coming up this weekend in Nashville, the 9th and the 10th. Get there or be square, as they say.
Yep. That's Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville. I said that.
And that's free to GOA members, and you can join for a nominal fee if you're not already a member. So
now we're going to stay on after we're off the air with the radio station, but we've got 30 seconds here on the air. WPAT, we're live to over 10 million people in New York, all of New York City, Long Island. Closing thoughts for our radio audience. What do you think people do?
I'll tell you what, the American people should understand there's still three major issues holdover from the Biden administration where the Department of Justice was infringing on the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding Americans. You can check that out on our website because the Trump administration can fix those administratively, and we're calling on his administration to do that. So check out gunowners.org.
Good. You got it in just in time.
Thanks for the signal.
That's it. We're still live here on youtube.com/the Underdog Report. Mark gets special compensation being the last one because we can hang out for a minute or two. I give him that flexibility to talk about anything extra. Please share these videos, by the way. I used to do these on Facebook. It wasn't really good for sharing. This is much better on YouTube. Anything you want to share now at this point?
You know, the left is not going to stop in their quest to take away the rights of law-abiding Americans. So just because Trump's in office, I would encourage your listeners, stay in the fight. And you have a lot of listeners in New York where you have a terrible governor. But we're going to have to fight for the rest of our lives for our precious Second Amendment rights, because taking that away has become a major platform or component of the Democrat platform in America.
Yes, it's they don't like America. So if you like America, don't vote for people that don't like America. Thank you so much, Mark. We'll hope I see you again. It's always enjoyable. I'm sure you're going to be at the show at Knoxville.
I'll be there. I'll be speaking briefly. So come out and see us in Knoxville this weekend.
Gunowners.org. Mark Jones. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Gary. Always good to see you.